What's going on, guys? Nathan 400EX back for another video. And I'm recording with the tiny ass microphone once again because it comes in better than my phone. So today's video topic, of course you've already seen the title, is going to be Chinese versus name brand. Now I've seen a few videos out there, not a whole lot. I've seen a few videos about off-brand pit bikes such as the SSR versus name brand like Honda, Kawasaki, Suzuki, Yamaha, Husqvarna, KTM, stuff like that. I've never seen one on wheelers, so I figured I'd do my own. So to start off with, you're going to notice a huge difference in price. And wheelers, I mean, it depends what you're talking about. You got racing, utility, you got all different spectrums. I mean, it's crazy. And different prices. Chinese usually range always anyway, like, geez, I don't know, like $550 to about $800. And I can say, I'm going to go ahead and say right off the bat, not reliable whatsoever. Actually, I feel like, I mean, they're both Chinese, but I've had better luck with like a Chinese pit bike over a Chinese wheeler. Just because with a wheeler, there's a lot more to go wrong. Because I had Tao. It was an Eagle 110 that I ended up selling to my cousin, and he was just doing some trail riding, just riding around the woods, and the frame broke. The frame broke. Right, not even at a weld spot. The frame broke like right down the middle. Just because he like hit a bump. And that right there tells you that, and I didn't beat on it when I had it. And that just tells you that they're not very reliable. And now, of course, I've done walk-arounds of all different kinds of wheelers, but this is like the Honda household right here. I mean, every wheeler we have is Honda. I've owned, Jesus, you guys have seen the 300EX, the 400EX. I've had a couple Honda Recons, which I got one right now, a 200SX. I had a Honda CRF 150F dirt bike. I had a Yamaha TTR90. I've had everything, but usually we stick with Honda. But either way, I don't even care. You can go to Kawasaki and Suzuki. They're still going to be more reliable than any Chinese wheeler you find. I don't care. Like, it could be a 250 racing Chinese wheeler, and I don't care. A Honda or anything is still going to outlive that wheeler. And the parts, I mean, yeah, you look at a Chinese wheeler and think, oh, well, you know, the parts are cheap for it. It's really cheap when I could go buy a 250EX for close to $3,000, or I can buy a Chinese 250 Tao utility for like $1,000. I mean, they don't go for that much money. And the parts, oh yeah, the parts. I mean, you go online, oh, there you get your bearings, the whole set, $5. Beautiful. That's awesome, but it ain't gonna last you. You're gonna have it. You're gonna put all your shit in and ride it around. I mean, if you have a Chinese machine, okay, it's good for putting around the yard. But if you want to go on like 100-mile trips like we do, if you want to go riding, don't get a Chinese. Do not do it. They are junk. And, I mean, even the good stuff you've heard about people talking about Chinese, they most likely just ride it around their house. And that's why it hasn't broken yet. If you do rough riding like we do, or if you try to get a Chinese racing wheeler and think you're going to do it, don't. All right? I'd go with anything above Chinese. Nothing. It's not even competition. Yeah, it's a lot more expensive, but that's why it's more expensive. That's why the Chinese are cheap. They make it out of the cheapest shit, cheapest metal, steel, anything like this. Aluminum, just the cheapest shit. Very, very low quality stuff. And like I was saying, what I've owned, I mean, it's really why I stuck with Honda. Because I had a Suzuki Quad Runner, and I mean, I will admit it was kind of beat when I got it, but that thing didn't really, I don't know, I mean, it ran, but it didn't really run right. The TTR90 I had, I mean, it's just a little, you know, it was like a 2005 or 6, and it was just a small little bike. I mean, not really anything to go wrong with it. That was good, reliable, fucking 0 degrees out first kick every time. What else have I had? I had a Yamaha Timberwolf. That was reliable. But when I got it, it needed a ton of work. And that is nothing to do with the brand or anything like that. It's to do with people beating the absolute fucking shit out of the machine. Yeah, I had that 110 for, how long did I have it for? I know I had it for, I don't know, like 4 years maybe. Got it when I was 7, sold it, yeah, when I was like 10 or 11. Yeah, so I had it. Yeah, I had it for 4 years. And it was the craziest thing. I mean, I was just riding around my field. I never took it. I took it down the dirt road a little bit one time. One time, and the bearings, I guess, exploded. Because when I sold it to my cousin, they heard some like rattling on the rear end. They went to check it, they were going to change the bearings. But the bearings fucking exploded. Exploded just from riding around the field. And I went down the road, dirt road a little bit for a couple minutes. One time, ever. One time. And when I got the machine, it just sat in the garage. It didn't need anything. It was like clean. It was brand new. And that right there, just off the bat, will show you never, and especially the real fucking thing is the frame breaking. I mean, the frame snapping. Are you kidding me? Come on. You know, I'm not trying to shit on all the Chinese makers out there, but, you know, I know you guys are trying to keep your costs down, but you got to make better shit. I mean, jeez. Even if you did make better shit, I'd still stick with Honda. Honda is the best. And if anyone sees this video and they're going to think, oh, a Honda fanboy, well, yeah, you might be right. But the reason I am is because they're the most reliable fucking thing out there on the trail. And then you got a lot of people that are like, oh, Hondas and everything else are junk. Polaris is the way to go. And you know what? I'm not going to shit on Polaris, all right? Okay, you know what? Because we're talking about Chinese and stuff. Polaris is American-made. And this is something that I realized that I haven't heard anyone say on the internet. Now, you talk about like Chinese being junk, and a lot of people go, USA, America, all the way, baby. Well, Ford, that's American-made. Everybody shits on Ford. Polaris, American-made. Everyone shits on Polaris. If you think about it, it seems like we can't really make shit. We make good guns. We make really good guns. I mean, that is where I'd give us the props on that one. But yeah, I mean, Ford and Polaris, you don't really hear anything good about them. Although that Trailblazer that, if you guys haven't seen the walk-around video of it, go check it out. But that Polaris Trailblazer, 2-stroke, 99. Runs perfect. I mean, it's fucking, when it's really cold out, it does start hard. But once it's warmed up, barely touch that pull start, it fires right up every time. But I've never been a fan of Polaris. Mostly because none of them shift. The only ones that do shift, you have the Predator 500 and the Outlaw 525. Those are the only ones that shift. And the Predator has a clutch because it's a racing wheeler. And then the Outlaw's got the independent rear suspension and everything. Though, if I was to own a Polaris, those are the only two that I'd go for. I wouldn't go for any other Polaris just because I just don't like the belt and just fully automatic. Just hammer it and go, and that's all you got. I stick with Honda. Honda all the way. Honda is the best. So yeah, Chinese. Just, if you guys have made it this far in the video, just take my word for it. Chinese are not good. They are cheap, but there's a reason for them being cheap. That's why a lot of people go out and buy them, is because they're so cheap. But like I said, there's a reason for it. They're not reliable. They break. They have cheap parts. That's how they get their costs down so low. And that's how they make a lot more money than they probably should. And what's the word for it? Safety check. Like a safety check on it. I mean, it might pass the test and actually get out there into the stores, which it does, obviously. But, man, maybe it must be by a minimal margin because they make it out of the cheapest shit. Man. So, yeah, just don't go buy Chinese. Just stick with name brand. Trust me. Because if you go buy like a Honda or a Yamaha or something like that, it'll last you years, where a Chinese wheeler, it'll probably last you one ride. The way that we ride, and I'm not saying we beat on our shit, but how we just ride a lot. I mean, one ride, you're going to have fucking catastrophic failures. So don't ever go with Chinese. Stick with name brand. And that's pretty much all I got to say on it. If you guys want to see any more, like another in-depth review, I guess, is whatever you guys want to hear me talk about, just leave it in the comments below. And for now, this has been Nathan 400EX. Peace out.